Gears a bit, our partnership with Seeking Alpha. And joining us now is Erich Reimer, author at Seeking Alpha. We teased before the break that we were going to be talking about Bank of America. We know this stock has continued to rally here after a positive fourth quarter, but does it mean the stock is soon due maybe for a pullback? Erich, what's your thesis on this stock?
I think Bank of America has had an excellent year. We've seen it break out from its prior range of just around $10 to $20 for the past 2 years or so to now $25 and $30. I mean, these are levels that Bank of America has not seen since the pre-financial crisis era, and certainly their earnings have also caught up to match that pre-08 time. I think there is more growth in store. I think that this past year we've seen how the Federal Reserve's interest rate hikes have help Bank of America's net interest income significantly. And I think with the Federal Reserve planning 3 more interest rate hikes this year, apparently, it will continue to boost Bank of America. We see that Bank of America has a very large deposit and lending base that comprises most of its revenue, and how Bank of America has been able to essentially delay the interest rate hikes for its deposits while raising its interest rate hikes for the lending. And I think that, along with a continued optimistic low inflation, pro growth environment will create increased consumer demand, increased consumer lending, and a overall positive lending environment as well. And so I think that, combined with general also tax reform tailwinds from that's benefiting every corporation right now, I think it's going to be an even better year for Bank of America in 2018.
Erich, the only pushback I would have on that is, of course, we've already seen incremental rises in interest rates, and it really hasn't largely affected net interest margin a heck of a whole lot. We're expected to hear today, of course, from the Fed that these rate increases will continue to be gradual, slow, and steady. And so I think a lot of people on the sidelines still wondering when that net interest margin actually can pick up some serious momentum and the bank can become more profitable with that particular metric.
I mean, I think it definitely is already making some impact. I mean, we saw this past quarter how net interest income went up by 11%. And I think Bank of America has issued guidance that they believe that the hikes this year, combined with low inflation, combined with generally a delay in their cost of deposits, will benefit the bank. I think aside from net interest margin itself, I think also the fact that Bank of America's revenue streams are diversified will be a great help this year. I mean, this past quarter, we saw a lot of banks suffer significant drops in fixed income trading revenue. However, Bank of America, even though it also suffered a drop, was not hit as badly because it's very diversified in terms of its revenue streams. It certainly didn't compare to Goldman's 50% year-on-year drop in bond trading revenue compared to Bank of America's roughly a 20% drop. And so I think all these factors will together push the bank higher still. And even though we see that we're in a very weird interest rate environment right now, I mean, the hikes are not creating higher inflation, which is the worry of some on the Federal Reserve. And I think, however, it will begin to make an impact combined with all these other tailwinds that are going on right now.
One of the popular topics for our audience, too, is Bitcoin. We know Bitcoin being reviewed by Bank of America and Citigroup here to see whether or not credit cards can actually make purchases of Bitcoins. I don't know if you have a thesis on that, Erich, as to whether or not you think that would actually affect the stock price. But I think a lot of young people are very interested, obviously, in cryptocurrency, the momentum we've seen behind that. And then how do you think that impacts some of these banks, Bank of America included?
I mean, I've definitely talked a lot about cryptocurrency in the past, and I think right now the big concern for cryptocurrency is how regulators are going to control it. I think a lot of businesses, as well as retail investors and retail customers, are very interested in not just Bitcoin, but all the other now over 1,500 cryptocurrencies that are on the market. And I think that certainly the banks are seeing that this is a growing phenomenon that is here to stay. Not only does cryptocurrency have a lot of very varied technological uses in terms of network authentication and other various purposes that everyone's exploring with. However, I think that given how cryptocurrency has just become a main topic in the news nowadays, I think that the banks are exploring it. I think that the debut of the futures shows that it's not only a transaction mechanism, but also possibly a investment mechanism as well. And I think, however, everyone's waiting to see what the SEC is going to say. I mean, the SEC has been very active these past few months in issuing warnings about cryptocurrency and delaying certain futures ETFs and all these other regulatory actions. And I think whatever the SEC says will kind of define how businesses can use cryptocurrencies. I think every day we're seeing more regulatory reining in of this big crypto boom we've seen the past 2 months, and I think it could be a potential future revenue source for Bank of America and other bulge brackets, but I think right now it's just very unpredictable because we don't know what the rules of the game will be per se.
Okay. Erich Reimer, author of Seeking Alpha, bullish on B of A. For more information on Seeking Alpha's marketplace, visit seekingalpha.com/marketplace.